5 seconds to go. Start. Another thing that happened was actually a little embarrassing for us. I respect the Honorable Defense Minister. He was very gracious about, I would call it, the BrahMos experiment. It was a mistake that happened. It was a misfire. I know that nobody did it intentionally, but the Honorable Defense Minister was very kind enough and showed such humility to come and say that we will take corrective action and we are having an inquiry, but it was not intended at all. But the Philippines has objected to it as per newspaper reports. I am quoting all the data that has come in there. I have no access to any information. I am going by what the media said. If the Philippines had shown concern and if these kinds of situations happen, then how are we going to control it? I think we should make it a little more academic also. Yes, we support this bill completely in one voice in this entire house, but we must definitely be very careful about the new technology coming in. We all are just raising our concerns, even if these are just to make sure that it is a flawless bill and make sure that India is known for what it really is, which is about truth, and it is about being a partner to everybody with absolutely no warfare and a peace loving nation like the Mahatma would have wanted it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I rise to support the bill moved by the Honorable External Affairs Minister. The objective of the bill is limited. It seeks to ban funding for weapons of mass destruction and gives power to the Union government for appropriate action against the culprits under the provisions of WMD Act. Sir, I have a few quick points that I would like to make. Here, I would like to appreciate first the foresight of our former Prime Ministers Srimati Indira Gandhi and Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji in making India a nuclear state. The reason I say this is because as we see what is happening in Ukraine, which remained a no nuclear country since it believed the assurances given to it by the West and NATO and gave up its nuclear arms. But looking at the current situation in Ukraine, a question arises. Would Russia have attacked Ukraine if Ukraine had possessed nuclear weapons? Conversely, could Russia have attacked Ukraine if Russia did not have nuclear weapons with the confidence that it would not be countered by rest of the world? The traditional arguments for nuclear non-proliferation have been somewhat disproven with this current case. Along with the new world order, we also need a new paradigm or a new nuclear doctrine, not only to avoid mutually assured destruction between nuclear powers, which was the case in earlier days, but also how do we assure the non nuclear countries of their sovereign rights? How do we prevent nuclear countries from misusing their nuclear threat to bully smaller non nuclear countries? This needs to be addressed by the world at large, and India has a leading role to play in defining this going forward. What is the future of non proliferation really needs to be carefully examined, understood as a new paradigm needs to emerge. One clarification I wish to seek is that the proposed insertion of clause 12a appears to be a little vague. Here you are saying no person shall finance any activity prohibited under this act or under the UN Security Council Act 1947 or any other relevant act for the time being in force. I think this appears to be a bit vague, as we have not mentioned which are the relevant acts under which you propose to take action. So, I suggest for consideration of the Honourable Minister to attach a schedule to this bill and list the acts, agreements, convention, etc., which come under the purview of this legislation. The next point I wish to make is relating to India's full support and effective implementation of Chemical Weapons Convention and strengthening the organization for prohibition of chemical weapons and mandate given to it. And at the same time, we are also voicing our support for institutional strengthening of the Biological Weapons Convention and bat for legally binding protocol. But if you look again at the ongoing Russia Ukraine armed conflict, we have seen umpteen times statements coming from Russia about use of chemical weapons and Ukraine claiming that Russia may use biological and chemical weapons at any time. So, does it not defeat the very convention and objective which India and other countries are pursuing? If signatories to the convention are blatantly breaking it, then what is the use of this convention? Secondly, we are going to have the ninth review conference of the Biological Weapons Convention this year. So, I wish to know what would be the approach of India in this conference in the light of ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The third point I wish to make is about the effective response to a chemical or biological attack, particularly on our citizens. I wish to know what sort of mechanism we have in place, be it relating to detection or providing antidotes or decontaminate and guide people not to consume contaminated food and water. I am asking this as we have seen the vulnerability of sarin now gas bioterrorism attack in Tokyo, where in spite of having much better mechanism than India, which showed the vulnerability of civilian population and killed 200 people. So, I wish to know the kind of mechanism and the national strategy that is in place in the event of a chemical or biological attack. The next point which I want to make, I think several members have also asked, is about the coronavirus, questioning whether it is a biological attack or not. I do not think we have been able to come to any final conclusion on this because China is neither sharing any information nor allowing any inspections. There are contradicting stories which the Honorable Minister is aware of more than what I could understand. If it is a biological weapon, the entire world could do nothing or even come to a conclusion that it is a biological weapon, leave alone taking action or imposing sanctions on China. In such a scenario, I doubt that enactments like these would be of any help. I wish to have a response from the Honorable Minister on this as well. Sir, I feel today more than chemical and biological weapons, the world is threatened and facing risks posed by cyber weapons, hypersonic missiles, drone swarms, pandemic outbreaks, be it man made or natural. Now, drones are innovative and novel delivery of weapons of mass destruction, be it chemical or biological, and are operated through artificial intelligence. So, we need to evolve strategies and create firewalls against such attacks on India. I am sure the House would like to know What efforts are being made by the ministry in this regard, since there is nothing in this bill? Finally, I am fully with the Honorable Minister and the government to ruthlessly crush financing any activity which, even in any remote possible way, is trying to help any activity to prepare or produce or help in making weapons of mass destruction. Stop.